Welcome to day 4 of the Hero Podcast with me, Suppoman, your superhero podcaster. The purpose of these podcasts is to bring you some daily inspiration to allow you to be happier, work better, and give you ideas that you can take with you to work more effectively online. In today's episode, we are going to talk about my child being my best teacher. And this is one of the weirdest things to talk about because as we get older, we are the ones that should become the teacher of our children. So if you like what you hear, please leave a like on this podcast. If you don't like it or you don't agree with it, then would you please leave a dislike? So my child is my best teacher. Why? Because he exposes to me everything that I should embody to teach him better. So let's think about how children are when they are small. They're happy, they're present, they learn things very quickly. I believe that they are telepathic in a way. So for instance, when I am trying to put on a front that I'm okay, or his mother is trying to put on a front to say she's okay when she quite clearly isn't, my son completely interprets that as lying. Because he can tell from some sort of spiritual level, he can understand when things aren't right. Which is a reason why I try not to lie to my son when he asks me how I am. We feel as parents that the best thing that we can do for our children is to be positive or to be encouraging and not expose them to any of the difficulties or any of the negative feelings that we feel as adults because we want to protect them from that. But actually what we're doing by being dishonest is we're being hypocrites. We are acting a different way to what we are saying. And that, to me, exposes to me exactly what I need to embody to be a better parent and to be more like my child. Because I want to be the positive person. I want to be happier. I want to be present. I don't want to experience some of the negative feelings that we feel as adults. I feel to an extent that we devolve as we become adults from the state of being a baby or being a child. Think about it. They don't smoke, they don't drink alcohol, they don't take drugs, they don't shout at people, and they certainly don't try and emotionally blackmail or manipulate people from the state of being a baby. When they're a baby, they're inquisitive, they're happy, they learn stuff very quickly, and they pick themselves up a lot faster than adults do. Just to give you an example, when I learned to play the electric guitar about 7 years ago, it was something I'd always wanted to learn how to do. And I was learning it and I had done about 2 or 3 weeks of daily learning of playing a guitar. And then there came a point where I got a little bit more advanced and they were teaching you alternate strumming. And what that means is that you're basically using the pick to strum on the strings and you're going up and down, up and down. Yet when you were learning at the beginning, you're either going down or up, whatever your preference is. But to be more advanced, you have to do alternate strumming, go up and down in order to play the notes faster and make it sound a lot more fluent than quite stilted as a beginner sounds when they are learning to play an instrument. And I just couldn't get the hang of it. And it was damaging me on a mental level. I was thinking, I just can't get used to this. And so what I did was I put the guitar down and I never touched it again. And I had spent about $200 on an electric guitar so that I could learn to play it. And it was a good guitar. And I thought, if I can play this well, then I could use this and be in a band and all that kind of thing. But I came to a block where I couldn't get past and I just put it down. Babies don't do that. If that's how they were, then when it comes to walking, when they are getting up on their feet and then they fall straight down, if they had that same mental block, they'd never learn to walk. But they pick themselves up and they soldier on. And this is something which is magically powerful to me because as you are a parent or as you're an adult, you kind of feel like you're superior to children because you know things, you've got skills they don't have, you know how to deal with certain experiences in ways that they don't know how to do it, and so you feel that you therefore adopt the position of being their parent. You know, I can show you how to do things properly in life. And to an extent that's true. However, there's also a lot they can teach you. And in that sense, it makes you equals. To give you another example of how children are based on how adults are, there are times when I say, right, stop what you're doing now, and I pick him up and I transport him to whatever it is I'm doing, because I've got a plan for the day, you know, I'm going out, and I say, right, let's go out now, stop everything you're doing. And he has and back in the day, he used to have a tantrum. He used to say, used to flail his arms everywhere, and he'd moan, and he'd kick things, and he'd get upset. And then, of course, the natural thing to do as a parent is, don't do that. You know, that's not nice, that's not good, that's not how you should behave. But then think of it how you would act as an adult when you're doing something and somebody was to just take you from that and try and make you fit with their plans. So, for instance, I'm doing this podcast, sometimes I'm doing a course, and then my partner would say something along the lines of, are you ready to go out now? And I'd be like, yeah, give me 20 minutes. And I'd expect her to give me the 20 minutes. But if she said, no, you haven't got 20 minutes, get going now, get dressed, whatever, then I would be annoyed. I'd probably throw a hissy fit, maybe not physically, although I probably would, but I certainly would mentally, and I would be annoyed with it. Yet, we expect children to just straight away deal with it and just fit in with our plans. As if they're not equal, as if we're the superior and they must do as we say. And it's not really fair when you think about it that way, is it? Because you want to do what you're enjoying or do what your plans are dictating to you. And you don't want somebody else to come and just whisk you away from that. And so in which case, you know, I get taught, my child, or children in general, exposed to me exactly how we don't want to be treated as adults. And so if we don't want to be treated that way as adults, why should it be okay to treat children that way? And children, again, one of the most magical things about children is they are probably more of an enlightened state than adults are. A lot of adults, they try and achieve enlightenment. They try and achieve happiness and freedom from these kind of constraints that society put on us, that we have grown up with, these, you know, the differences and the prejudices and the judgments that you naturally acquire as an adult. It's difficult to break free and be completely free. A child, however, hasn't had all those experiences placed upon them or grown up with them or had all these layers added to their personality that causes them to be, you know, to act a certain way. They act naturally. And that is one of the best lessons that I have learned from my own child. Because being in the moment and being present and learning things and not being bogged down by the day-to-day distractions or the negative, you know, judgments and prejudices that you kind of acquire as you get older, allows you to kind of feel closer to that sense of enlightenment that you'd like to achieve. Now, I am a teacher, obviously. I teach on Udemy and on Skillshare, and I try and be a teacher to my son. However, what I've learned to accept is that I also learn from my son. And he also teaches me how I should be a parent. Okay, he teaches me to be a parent. Okay, so I grew up personally with parents that swore. Now, they're great parents, you know, I'm close to them, they're still together, but they swore like anything. When I was growing up, I used to hear them all the time, and I used to swear as well. And then my mother would say to me, don't you say that again, or I will take you to the bathroom and I will wash your mouth out with soap. Yet, I was doing the same thing my parents were doing. So what that taught me was that it was okay to act a certain way, but to say something different. It taught me to be a hypocrite. So when I now swear in front of my son, he's 11 now, so he's kind of understood swearing, and he knows, he's got a conception that swearing isn't right. But if he hears me swearing and he hears other adults swearing, it teaches him all the wrong ways to be. And then how dare I go up to him and say, you shouldn't swear, when I do it myself and the adult world does it? It's teaching him hypocrisy, which unfortunately is something that we get a lot of. We, in fact, get a lot of that from our leaders, from our presidents, our prime ministers, the governments that essentially kind of dictate how and what we do with our lives, and the factors that govern our lives, like costs of living and food and all that kind of thing. And these people are very similar. They tell us to do certain things, and yet when they are interviewed, they are the worst people to give answers, to give us proper, truthful answers. Most politicians can't give a yes or no answer. And so we feel disengaged with politics because of the lack of truth. Yet as adults, we tend not to tell the truth. Like I said with my son, and he asks how I am. If I'm feeling particularly bad, I'll say, yeah, I'm okay. I'm not bad. Not bad tends to be one of my most used responses to how are you? Yeah, I'm not bad. Even if I've had a stinker of a day, even if I've had the worst possible day, I will tend to say, not bad. Or, yeah, it was okay. And he can sense that that is not the truth. And yet, the truth is something that we try and make our children tell us. Yet we are, as adults, probably the worst people to tell the truth. So, my child in many ways is my best teacher. And I can see as he gets older that he is becoming more and more like an adult. And unfortunately, that's not a good thing. How he was when he was much younger, when he would be happy and jolly and people would communicate with him and they'd love him, they'd smile, because he was just such a lovely child. He had a beautiful personality. He was always smiling, and he was always trying, and he was always, he was just such a great communicator as a young boy. And everybody gravitated towards it. Yet as he's getting older, he's becoming more and more like an adult, and the people around him that used to gravitate towards him are now telling him that he shouldn't do certain things and trying to make him fit in with their plans. And it's not fair. It's not fair because he's doing what we do as adults. We devolve, from my perspective. So I hope that this podcast has enlightened you as to the kind of, in my opinion, the devolution of species as we get older. We are further from the state we want to be, which is actually what children embody. So my child is my best teacher. He continues to be a great teacher, and he exposes to me the way that I treat him being not how I'd want to be treated myself. In which case, he makes me a better father and a better person in that respect. I hope that this has inspired you in some way, and I look forward to seeing you for day 5 of the Hero Podcast.